All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel. Hopefully, you stick around to hear the message, or at least the first couple of minutes of it. If you find that this resonates with you, please don't hesitate to leave a comment down below, like, subscribe, and maybe check out the other readings. Disclaimer, I will definitely attach a timestamp for when the reading starts if you just want to bypass this, but this is important. When I am reading, sorry. I feel like this reading is going to be interesting. I'm doing it from the perspective for like the ascendant of the sign I am speaking on. That doesn't mean that you can't stick around and watch if you're a sun, moon, rising, Venus, whatever you like to go by, or if you're a cross watcher, same goes for you. But for these readings, I am speaking to the ascendant. Also important to note that not everything is going to fit your situation. If you do not know with 100% certainty that it applies to your situation or it sounds like your story, just leave that part of it on the table. It may not be pertaining to you. It may be pertaining to a separate situation that somebody else is here. Their energy is being channeled into it. So just keep that in mind. Don't take that information and run with it and like manifest it into your own life. I do think that we can do that. Now, let's get started. This reading is going to be for my Scorpio ascendants. When I'm doing this, I am recording this in September of 2023, so that may be a relevant time period. Doesn't have to be. This is actually going to be posted as a timeless message, so hopefully when this finds you, it fits. Basically, the way that I roll is when I'm using this deck, I use it to start off as like this overall, we'll say the title of the story that can give us an inkling for what this is about. This is the meat and potatoes or the plot of the story. And then this is the clarifiers or maybe further expansion of the characters, the emotions, the offshoots within the story. Now, let's get started. What is going on with Scorpio right now? Show me. So we've got the labyrinth or the maze. We've got the ring. Okay, and we've got the moon in the garden. Interesting. Okay. So I want to start off by saying that before I got started with, coming on and making my opening statement, I spent a little time sitting and trying to see what it is that I was seeing for you as like a collective energy. Something interesting that I saw was like this divide, right? It didn't look like a cross, but it looked like a cross section or like an intersection, and it kind of reminded me of like compartmentalizing things or separating things or putting things in their place. And I also feel like I saw something that reminded me of a level. So I kind of feel like for some of you, maybe some of you are actually building something, or you are organizing something, or you are creating something within a space to either organize or just change something around in your environment. But I also saw like a clock or a timer kind of going. And I don't know, I feel like there's something here where I don't want to say that it feels like time is of the essence, but it feels like right now is a very important time period to get organized. Maybe kind of look at things and separate them so that you can see where everything fits clearly. I don't know why this feels like deja vu. I don't know. Maybe I did a reading like this for Scorpios recently or within the last couple of months, so it feels like a repeat of something. But anyway, So that's just like coming into it. But it's interesting that we have the maze, the ring, the moon, and the garden. Um, for some of you, this feels oddly specific. Like it feels like going through a corn maze. And I mean, for the time of year, that would make sense. But it also feels like this weird hunt. Like it feels like going on a scavenger hunt or going on this kind of interesting like quest to find something of value or just find something that you're looking for that's very specific. So for some of you, that may be a thing here. For others of you, I think that you're trying to navigate something in particular that's a little confusing. I think there's a lot of emotions tied to it, and I also think that there's some uncertainty. Um, but it feels interesting because it feels like you're very committed to this, or it feels like regardless of what is being navigated, or regardless of maybe the uncertainty attached to it, or the difficulties, because I do think there's emotional difficulties here. I mean, I think that, but I don't think you're like backing down from that challenge. I don't think that this is something where you're allowing this moon energy to necessarily throw you off. I actually feel like you're navigating it really well, which makes sense, I think, for Scorpio people. Um, but it feels like within doing this, it's like there's a significant meeting place or there's a significant location where something is going to come together. And maybe that's why I saw the cross section too. Because that also, when I started thinking about it, I was like, oh, that kind of is like a rat maze. You know, like it feels like trying to find a piece of cheese. Um, but it feels like either discovery of something or um, something being unveiled in a particular way or something coming together that makes everything make sense. And I don't know if this is just information you'll eventually like just keep for yourself for the time being, or maybe this is something that's being, it's like a shared quest or it's a shared experience. Um, or it's a little more lofty where it's kind of this like metaphorical discovery of something within yourself. But we'll get into it. Okay, let's see what's on the bottom. Oh, yes. Okay. Let's get started. Maybe the mice did get the cheese. Very interesting. Okay. I definitely want you to be wary of too much of a good thing. I'm just going to start off by saying that only because I see temperance here as like the challenge with the Nine of Cups. And the Nine of Cups can be about overindulging in something, or to me, it also can be like this interesting emotional pride. So there's just a need to make sure that you're not, we'll say, resting on your laurels. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm feeling so like groupy for you guys. Okay. All right. So I will be honest, I've been spending a lot of time like breaking everything down, talking about what each placement is in the prior videos, as well as like when I'm doing confirmation. So I'm just going to bypass that because I feel like it's a waste of time. And we'll just get started. So I think right now, here's the thing. I do think right now you're feeling very good. I do think that there is certain achievements or accomplishments that are present in your life that feel very good to you. I think that you have reached this certain place within something, whether it is yourself, whether it is a job, whether it is like an entrepreneurship thing. There's something you feel very good about, or you feel very validated right now in something. Now, the challenge with temperance is I feel like it's almost like I want to say, I don't want you to let this be the end. Like, I don't want you to stop at this point, right? Like, I don't want you to stop right here and just think that this is it, or like this is the achievement, because I want people to keep in mind the 10 of cups is beyond this. There's a need to, of course, celebrate yourself, celebrate whatever this is, feel really good about it. But then I feel like there's like this extension of making sure that you're sharing this with others, which makes sense that we have the 2 of cups and like the subconscious mind. Um, I want you to make sure that you're allowing yourself to share this experience with other people, whether that means sharing your experience in order to have other people be a part of the process with you and also celebrate you, or to not be scared of sharing your successes, or maybe not to be scared of sharing what it is that you know, have accomplished, whatever it is. Like, I feel like you need to be with other people right now. That's kind of the thing here. I feel like you need to be with other people, whether that is in a friend group, family, community, workplace, relationship, because it feels like there are these supportive things in your environment that are a part of this. So I don't know if you've had other people that have helped this come about, or if you've had significant people in your life that kind of were a part of a joint effort in getting this to this place. So if that's people that you've leaned on for support that help you, have helped you achieve this, then like don't forget about them. Um, Make sure you don't um, just leave them in the back of your mind, right? Because I see them there, and I feel like there's a need to like bridge it together or bring it together in some way and allow it to be a part of the process. Because I will say this, I do think part of why this is coming up is I think in terms of the sectioning that I was seeing, or like separating things and organizing them, with Judgment in the recent past in reverse and the King of Swords in the near future, I feel like you've come to very particular conclusions inside of yourself that are generating this kind of um, very analytical mind currently. Like, I don't know if these helpful connections, or these experiences that you've been having with other people, or these conversations have opened up these doors to connect certain things inside of you to make you see something in a way you haven't seen it before. Because once again, even with the moon card up here, there's something going on inside of you that I think is manifesting and translating in everything that you're doing right now. And I think it's adding this particular drive to what it is that you're doing or seeking or where you're headed. It reminds me of like dominoes. Like, it's the domino effect that I think is occurring in your life right now. But I also think there's precision that is being put into this. I mean, honestly, even with like the maze and the ring and the moon and the garden and me talking about how it feels like this weird scavenger hunt, I mean, the King of Swords fits that to me too, because it's kind of this person with a very keen eye for detail. It's a person with a very, they don't miss anything. And it just feels like you're going into this almost like looking at this entire experience is the mouse finding the cheese in the maze. Like it's like you're finding the cheese, or you're finding the thing that you maybe have been seeking for quite some time, whatever that means to you. And I think it's providing this like gas in the tank to keep you going. I think that this connecting factor, or these dots that are connecting between you and other people, or what they're saying to you is connecting dots within you. It's almost like taking the positive and negative of life's experiences and using that in a way that like you finally are able to balance it out and use that knowledge or that wisdom or that foresight in order to move forward into the future. But once again, this feels very precise. So maybe for a while you didn't really know what you were doing or what was going to happen or how you felt about something. And during this time period, everything is becoming so hyper vivid and technicolor, so outlined. It's all in HD. And you just have such spiritual cards here, like cards that to me represent spiritual reckoning or like spiritual engagement, where because you're transforming yourself on the inside, it's allowing you to transform your external world. And I mean, we did just come out of y'all's eclipse season where you were in the South Node, which, I mean, that's a lot to engage with. South Node stuff is a lot to engage with. And it can really challenge our resolve in particular ways because we're simultaneously acknowledging, it's like acceptance and letting go. And I think for a fixed sign, regardless how excellent you are at the deep undercurrent of all things and the ability to like submerge yourself in some of the darkest content in existence and come back up out of it, unfazed to some extent. It doesn't mean that it's not internally painful, because that's the thing. You are the transmuter of pain. You are the transmuter of the dark. You are the thing that goes in and engages with something and really breaks it down to where it can be dissolved and put back together in something new. And that's not easy for people to do. I mean, that's why people often find Scorpios as very intense, challenging individuals, because they're polarizing, right? You bring to the surface the things in people that they're afraid of, or that they don't want to look at, or that they don't want to touch. They don't want to break it down. They don't want to analyze. So yeah, it just feels like you're coming out of this period where I think you were doing that so intensely internally, and maybe that manifested in your environment or in your relationships, or you reviewing the past, or you reviewing like what it is that you want out of life. And now there's just such a been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and now I'm looking for my next stop, or I'm looking for my next destination, because I've let all that baggage go, right? Like nothing is weighing down me, or the car isn't overpacked. Like we're ready to go. And I think emotionally it's because this point of internal awareness, or you could even, I mean, if you believe in this, you could call it divine insight, like these revelations that just click out of nowhere, that are these aha moments, like waking up out of a dream and being like, holy shit, I understand. Or I've never seen it that way. Or, oh my God, that makes so much sense. It just feels like that's happening. And I think your environment has been challenging. Because for a while, I think people around you felt like they were talking to you and you weren't hearing them. Like I feel like people around you might have been trying to offer you things once again, maybe that's what's happening here in this Two of Cups. Maybe that's why this Two of Cups is in the subconscious, because it's like people were over here trying to offer you something in this cup or engage with you in some sort of emotional way or give you advice or give you support or try to have this conversation with you. And maybe at a particular point in time, because this was occurring, because this like spiritual, deep, transformative thing was occurring, I'm not saying that you didn't hear them. I think you did. I think that's why it's on your mind. And I think that's why it's important and that it was brought up that you need to make sure that you are sharing with others the impact that this had on you, that whether it was a conversation, a piece of advice, whatever. I just feel like for a while, it's like people felt like they literally were talking to you and you couldn't hear them, or I don't want to say that this could have been a kind of period of you rejecting everything in your environment, but it could have come off that way. Like maybe you weren't consciously aware that that's how it was coming off. But I think for you, whatever it was that was going on was so important to try to figure out on your own or understand on your own. And here's the thing, maybe the people in your environment weren't 100% capable to go as deep as you could within the thing, right? So like maybe you didn't have people around you that could go there with you and you understood that. So it's almost like why begin the conversation if they can't come with me, like in the process. It's okay, I can figure it out on my own, or it's okay, I just need to figure this out on my own. And I feel like you're either becoming hyper aware of that now, and maybe it's connecting to this subconscious thought, but I just feel like you're coming out of it and you're able to share so much of yourself, so much more of yourself with others as a result. And there's kind of this catch 22 situation going on within the realm of your hopes and fears, because I think you're both hopeful that you've overcome this challenge and both fearful that you have not. I think you're hopeful that you have gauged your level of judgment appropriately for maybe particular things that you did cut out of your life or that you removed from your life. Or maybe you're hoping that you truly can navigate the difference now between what is healthy for you and what is hurtful. And once again, we'll backtrack over here to this Nine of Cups. Maybe that's part of the warning, is like, it's okay to maintain this observant, maybe over analytical, precise role for a minute, because I do think it's purposeful. I think it's good. I think it is okay to maybe want to continue protecting yourself a little bit as you move forward, while gently allowing yourself to open up to those who maybe were behind you trying to help you in this process, right? And you know, the advice or the love or the support that they gave you at the time that you used to get to this point, or took into account, and it helped you get to this point. Maybe those are the relationships or the groups around you that you need to keep around. But it's okay to still, you know, be analytical within your environment or keep a keen eye on things in order to continue navigating the way forward. I do think your path needs to be clear for a while. I think life would be great if it was organized and uncluttered for you right now. I think with this whole process and what you've been through, I think it's actually crucial because I think you need to be kind of free of things. Like I don't think you need to be in a stuffy environment. I don't think you need to be um, in crowded rooms or anything like that right now. I feel like there really is this thing about being able to have space and breathing room because the maze was cramped. Like maybe that's why also the maze came out. The maze and the scavenger hunt, this whole process was a very cramped process. Um, but I think it's interesting because in the far-reaching outcome, you know, this is such a deep reading. I'm kind of not surprised, but I feel like compared to everybody else's, I was getting pretty aggro in some of these other readings. And maybe it was just the transits for the day because it was kind of there were some aggro or aggravating transits, but there's something so profoundly spiritual about this file, whether you are a spiritual person or not. Um, Maybe when I'm saying spiritual, I mean, I'm sure some of you out there are like, fuck yeah, I am spiritual or I am religious or I do connect with a higher source or that's in my vocabulary. Um, but for others of you, I'm like, this really is the successful navigating of like an existential crisis, and really coming out of it. And I feel like it's not as if any of this was easy because I think in some ways a lot of this felt very almost like there might have been moments where you were asking yourself the question of like, what the fuck did I do to deserve this? Or like, why is this happening right now? What did I do in some other lifetime to bring this result to me? Or like, you know what I mean? Or what have I done in this life to deserve this? Or maybe you were close with somebody where you were looking over and going, what the fuck did they do to deserve this? And maybe stepping more into this role of like wanting justice for this situation or this experience. But it just feels like the way that things are balancing out right now and the way that things are coming toward you or coming forward in your mind and in your feelings and in your communications. I just think it has you really thinking about things and kind of understanding finally how life works or how life can work. Bear with me here because, like I said, this is a very. I actually think you guys are probably going to end up beating Libra's reading for length of time because we still have to do clarifiers and we're almost at 30 minutes. Um, but it reminds me of the story of, the Egyptian god of the dead and how one has to weigh one's heart against a feather, or essentially one's soul, against a feather in order to find out, are you going to enter into the afterlife? And if you're heavier than that feather, got some work to do. You do not get to pass go. You do not get to collect $200. But that's how this feels. Like it feels as if it's a very similar experience, maybe not in such intense terms, but it's almost as if you're realizing that it's okay to let all of this stuff go. And obviously things are allowed to remain, right? Like healthy things are allowed to remain, but it's like the weight or the baggage or the anger or um, the pain, you can take it and you can actually transform it. You can take it and you can give it an entirely new energy and identity within your own awareness or emotional body or consciousness and transform it into something that can really be useful in your life. And so I just feel as if there's this period of a lot of focus, a lot of concentration. I mean, maybe this is you moving very silently for a little while. Maybe you are so focused on what's going on here, right? Like this driving force and paying attention to where it is that you're headed or the things that you would like to do or accomplish or complete. Um, that it really is almost as if this is my truth and I can't stop until this is complete. Or this is my truth and I can't stop until I feel that I have accomplished what I need to accomplish. Maybe that's also what's still unfolding with this in the center position and me feeling as if I had to make it very clear that I love this for you. I'm so proud of you. I love, love, love this for you. Hands down, best reading so far out of everybody. But please don't stop here because the 9 is so temporary. And at some point, it must be shared. It is not just for us to enjoy. It is worth sharing with others. So who knows? For some of you, you may literally be writing about this. You may be creating something about this. This may just be about, I don't want to say simple conversations, but it may just be about reaching out and communicating with people who have been a part of the process for you. But just know that there's something about this, once again, whether it's in your wheelhouse or not, or whether you believe in it or not. Like, I actually feel like so much of this is like a karmic debt that's being paid. It could be a literal debt, but it feels like a karmic debt that's being paid. And I feel like as a result of that, it almost is like giving you this profound wisdom, or as various things over time have referred to it as, like the keys to the kingdom. It is this eternal wisdom and knowledge that actually is worth more than any material thing this world can offer. I'm sorry if that sounds boring, but it shouldn't. Like, this is so beautiful. I mean, honestly, it could make me cry right now. And I might. But, man, sorry. There just really is. There's something so profoundly beautiful about this. Um, so let's go ahead and pull clarifiers and see if we can open up this story. Yeah. The 4 of Cups in reverse, clarifying the 9 of Cups. There really is this energy of making sure that you share with this 2 of Cups down here. Because I do feel like either this person, I mean, more than likely it's one person in particular, but this person or these individuals or these helpful people that were a part of this process, make sure that they share in this experience with you, because I don't I'm not saying that I don't think you would be at this place without them, but there is a part of me that thinks that there is something that was so crucial about what was said or what they shared with you that was a part of this process that I don't think you would have gotten here in the way that you did. Yeah, with the 10 of Wands and Temperance, or with the 10 of Wands clarifying Temperance as the blockage, I still think that maybe there is this like weight or this residual energy that's kind of attached to this process that's being shed or being it's like when you're mixing something and one of the ingredients has made it too thick and you have to like thin it out. I feel like that is kind of what needs to happen here. Like there's still this like tension or um, this like equation or this modification that needs to be made. Maybe it requires opening up about a particular thing. Maybe it requires broaching um, maybe this little itty bitty thing that's probably not so itty bitty in conversation that maybe in your mind, you're like, well, I've made peace with that. But it's like, well, obviously, if you still want to talk about it or you still want to bring it up in conversation with this person, or it's kind of like there and it's getting in the way of this, and have the conversation. I don't think it would hurt to. I actually feel like you would have it successfully, but moving forward, let's see what's going on here with this Two of Cups. I'm going to be honest. I feel like so much of this is about people's actions, whether it's your own or another person's. It's probably a combination of both. I think it's just about actions and the things that we have taken or we have done in general. Maybe actions that we wish we could change, or things that we wish we could have done differently. Because so much of this really, all of these cards are practically in reverse. Except for what's outside of here and like two within the center. Sorry, let me finish this up and then I'll get to talking. Oh. Yeah. I feel like I'm kind of seeing why this energy was rejected kind of in the past, or why maybe you did this alone, or you had to go it alone in this situation, or it felt that way, right? Um, for some of you, I feel like there could have been feelings of being manipulated in this situation, or maybe eventually even seeing your own your own manipulation, like your own ability to maybe do things in a particular way, as a mechanism of protection, right? Because even that is subconsciously manipulative. Like when we are trying to protect ourselves and we can't do it in a outward way that is laid out very cleanly and or clearly and plainly. A lot of times it comes out in these weird subconscious things that we do, um, to impact the situation or the person and get them away from us. But I just feel like for a while things felt so out of touch. And I feel like even between you and other people, there was this great distance that was felt. And I think parts of it are, once again, this existential crisis, right? Like not really knowing what to do with what you had in front of you. Or maybe feeling like anytime you did try to do something, it didn't change anything. So maybe there was this outward thing that you were doing to push harder for something, or once again, this thing about actions here. There's so much about actions that go into this. Using your actions, being very active towards something or trying to push something in a particular direction or way. And I think because you kept running into a particular wall, it forced you to kind of go inside of yourself, right? Having this existential crisis. And really ask yourself, I think, what was going to make you happy. And maybe what were the things that made you so unhappy in the past and why. You know, for some of you, I do think there's like a big struggle here with stability, whether that is within your own confidence of self or like actual environment. Um, but I also think that there's just been this really big fear of truly investing in something because of what has happened in the past. Maybe you feel as if people have taken from you a lot, or maybe you feel as if anything that you ever put forth doesn't ever result in like this equal payout, right? Like I feel like you always think you get um, a really shit result based upon what you exert. Once again, maybe that was why there was that question of like, why the fuck is this? Like, what did I do in another life to make this happen? Or what did I do in this one to make this be the outcome? I feel like you were feeling that way for a while. But I think all of that has changed. I mean, in many ways, this feels like a huge ego death. Does not have to be through the use of psychedelics at all. Totally could be, but it doesn't have to be. This just feels like such a deep, transformative release. I can't remember whose reading I said this in. If I did. I know I went on a fucking soapbox about it for a minute. But going back to the whole thing about like the greatest wealth we can achieve in this life is like the keys to the kingdom, which is like this wealth and knowledge within ourselves. And this awareness within ourselves, like that is the true treasure. And it makes me think of like the reality of this idea of to know thyself. Like that is the root of the greatest treasure, is to know thyself. To know thyself is to know the other. To know thyself is to know the all. And that's what it feels like has happened to you. It's like you fucking know yourself right now. Or at least a big portion of it. And I think that's opening you up to love in very particular ways. Um, Once again, being able to share love, because over here in this Four of Cups in reverse, we've got the Queen of Cups now. So I feel like there's this energy of being really able to see what love looks like. I think for a while that was a very challenging thing for you, especially with the Devil in reverse and the Princess of Pentacles in reverse over here. I think it was very challenging for you to really understand what love was. Like, I think you had this thing with yourself, this agreement with yourself, where you're like, well, I know when I love somebody, I will, fucking go down with the ship, and I will stay with them to the ends of the earth. And I'm like, totally. But like, what is love really? And what is other people's love languages, and like, how are other people attempting to love you? And what does that look like? But in some ways too, I think you guys are getting this huge apology from someone from the past that I think sets things right. Now, when I say sets things right, that doesn't mean that you guys are like getting back together, because I don't see that here. But I think it sets things right in a way where it heals this piece of you that needs it. And it once again is this connecting piece, or it like is part of the domino effect that allows you to feel whole and connect to yourself in a deeper way. I don't know, man. You guys are just coming out of this like period of extreme soul searching. I think you had to face a lot of stuff that either was unjustified or felt as if it was unjustified. And I think without getting the closure or justice in that situation, you had to go through this like existential crisis of self and really come to understand yourself and how you felt about things and try to process them. And because you did all that inner work, I think now the external justice or the apology or the whatever it is coming towards you. And I think it just solidifies everything. Which now, man, I don't know why I keep really wanting to get emotional. I'm trying really hard not to. But it totally makes these cards up here make sense as like the title of the story. Where I'm like, oh yeah, you're going on this scavenger hunt for this thing, and like you don't know, maybe you're going at night and maybe you can't find your way, and but this is important, like this is an important place, or this is an important situation where like something is coming together, and I'm like, oh yeah, of course. This is like a dark night of the soul treasure hunt, or this is, you looking outside of yourself for these answers, or this thing, this cheese. But I think you found out that the cheese is in you. That sounds really weird. But it reminds me of, I think I said it for Libra's reading, although I don't think this reading applies to that at all. It could, but I don't think it does. But it was when I was laughing when I saw the judgment card, and I was like, the call is coming from inside of the house. I repeat, the call is coming from inside of the house, and that's how this feels. I'm like, the call was coming from inside of the house all along. Like, you thought that the scavenger hunt was happening outside of you, and sure, maybe it was in a literal sense, but I actually think it was happening internally the whole time. And now that you have found this missing piece, like I think that love is allowed to like pour into your life in a way that you haven't experienced it before. And with that being said, just congratulations. You guys literally win the most beautiful reading out of everybody thus far. And I'm really proud of you. Like, if nobody has told you that they're proud of you, I'm proud of you. Because this is fucking beautiful. Nobody's made me feel this way yet. I've definitely been way more aggro in everybody's readings, but this was just like downright beautiful. So yeah, Scorpio, I hope that resonated. We're almost closing in at an hour. If you liked this video and you felt connected to it, please leave a comment down below, like, subscribe, come back some other time, watch another video, check out my description box for my Instagram. You can follow me over there for daily collective readings. I also do donation-based readings on the weekend through there. But yeah, just thank you for allowing me to read that for you, because that was just beautiful. I'll see you guys next time.